Hello everyone, it's Kathy at Nothing So Strange. I'm here today to do a walkthrough of the Ghost Tarot. My last video was the Show Us Your Decks Again hashtag to Angel at Feeding My Soul. And I was chatting last night with Ina from Taproot Tarot about this deck. She said she had never seen it, and I keep hearing that a whole lot from people, which surprises me because this is such a beautiful deck. So I thought, okay, I'll do a walkthrough today. This is the Ghost Tarot. The artwork is by, I would assume with the spelling, it's David Corsi. It's a Lo Scarabeo deck. It came out in 2014. It's still in print. I got mine a couple years ago and it was $23.95, and I believe it's still the same price, so really reasonably priced deck. I suspect that one reason this is not really well known is that you see the name Ghost Tarot and you think it's going to be a spooky tarot and the sort of Halloween-y, maybe even campy vibe, or you know, jump scare vibe, but really it comes off more as a meditation on loss and letting go, and so I find it really appealing. It has the typical size Lo Scarabeo little white book with the 4 languages, so the English section is very small, but it's kind of a neat guidebook. It has an introduction with some nice quotes about ghosts. It's not only what we have inherited from our father and mother that walks in us, it's all sorts of dead ideas and lifeless old values and so forth. They have no vitality, but they cling to us all the same, and we can't get rid of them. That's an Ibsen quote from his play, Ghosts. And then there's a nice introduction. For all those who do not wish to live their existence on the borders of the unrefined materialism, it is clear that the world as we perceive it does not represent the totality of experience. Ghosts move in an invisible world, perceptible with our senses only intermittently, or in certain moments of the year, like the Celtic holiday of Samhain, today known as Halloween, when the veil that divides our worlds becomes thinner. Anyway, I won't read the whole thing, but it's a very short introduction talking about the reflection of the ghosts in our lives and our decisions and our experiences. And then very, very short blurbs on each card, but really interesting. And when you get to the minor arcana, there's little explanations. And it goes out of order. It's chalices, pentacles, wands, and then swords. But little explanations of the suit as a whole. And then some of these little write-ups sound like something you'd find in a fortune cookie or something, but they're enough to make you think about. At the end, we have a little section on divining with the Ghost Tarot, which gives you instructions on how to interpret the spread that's shown right here. And so, little white book, but perhaps more useful than some little white books. And here, you know, the typical Lo Scarabeo. I've got the advertising card and the title card. That's our 2 of Cups. The backs are pretty. Reversible, and I love that design. It's very beautiful. Now I'll do a flip through. I wish the light was a little better today. It's very cloudy, and I've got in front of 2 huge windows with a light on behind me, and this is all I have still. So, many of the cards have this sort of rainbowish light in the background. Sometimes it's just the rainbow colors coming out of the stained glass, because a lot of them are inside in a cathedral. in my video day before yesterday, I showed one of the prompts was a card with a rainbow, and are the swords. I showed the 5 of swords. There it is, because I thought it was so interesting that the 5 of swords, this card of defeat, where you see the 2 ghosts walking away in defeat, has a rainbow. And then Ina suggested, oh, maybe that's different. Maybe that's, you know, the bridge to Asgard. And I was like, oh, I hadn't really thought of that before. But I've been thinking about that for 48 hours, and I really love that. And it also, if we think of this with the background of Norse mythology, helps explain the rainbowish skies in so many of the cards. I'll give an overview of the whole thing. We have the major arcana, which doesn't have titles. It has numbers top and bottom, and the Roman numerals. And then the different suits, I put it back in the original order for this. So the chalices, they call the cups the chalices. And again, no words. We have numbers on the top and then a symbol for the suit on the bottom. So there's the chalice. The pentacles. The wands. And the swords. And they're all color-coded, and I'm worried that the colors aren't picking up so well because it's so dark in here, but you can see right here, the pentacles are green, the wands are red, the chalices are blue, and the swords are more of a gray color, which, if you're sitting here looking at them, is really obvious, which I find helpful, because the wands and the swords, the picture is pretty close there. What else should I say? The court cards, I watched a flip through before I bought it where the person was a little confused at first because the page symbol and the knight symbol could be confused if you aren't paying attention at first. Page, knight, queen, king. Okay, but let me... Oh, and also, like, this is the red bordered set of cards. You see a lot more red in there. The green bordered cards have more green. And so it doesn't hit you over the head, but the colors of the borders are very subtly reflected in the colors of the deck. Let's do a flip through. I think I will be chatting a lot through this. Okay, we have the Fool. We have the little ghost fool with the ghost dog. The Magician. He's a ghost, and he's got the elements of his craft there on the table. And they are substantial. The light is painted so beautifully in this. Here's our high priestess. Sort of unusual the way she's levitating her book. It seems to maybe be holding a rosary there. The Empress. Many of the cards that are shown outside in your basic RWS are interior shots here, which I guess makes sense for ghosts. I do feel like maybe a little something is lost in that interpretation. But still beautiful. There's the Emperor. I feel like he's a little more successful than the Empress because we have the rams there anyway. The Hierophant. The light in this is just beautiful. He does not have a kindly face. And he's there alone, no acolytes. The Lovers. Now we're coming up on one of my favorite cards. Look at the Chariot. And the little white book, it's interesting what it says about some of the cards. I think Chariot was one that I found interesting. Let's see, can you see that? There we go. Chariot, the unstoppable impetus. Success is born of determination and audacity, but interior urges that lead you ahead and further ahead is difficult. I guess that's a translation problem. Are difficult to stop. And the race, like success or triumph, can become an end unto itself. Strength. Such an unusual card. The lion is the ghost. The little girl is holding a kitten. And then you have this beautiful knight. Beautiful woman. The hermit. The wheel. Justice. She's a very beautiful justice, I think. The Hanged Man. I do love this quality of the light, like the sun is setting. And we have all the leaves fluttering down in the background. Death. Temperance. Temperance card looks a lot like the Star card. You'll see when I get to it. So sometimes when I see this before I notice the water pouring, sometimes I think Star. The Devil. The Tower. Here's the Star. Look at her glowing eyes. It's a very unusual interpretation. the moon. We don't have our crustacean, and we don't really have a path here. Just because we already are at the end of the journey. Now the sun card. This one always makes me think. Let me read the guidebook on that one. You know, the people being forced to hide from the sun, the ghosts hiding from the sun. And the guidebook says, the sun, living in the light. Not everyone is obliged to live in the light. In fact, occasionally the light is a difficult burden to bear, capable of wounding more deeply than a sword. True light is the one within us, a mirror of light that brings the universe to life. Wow. So again, a very different interpretation, and also one of the reasons why, as I keep saying, I think this is more about loss and coming to terms with it, because the idea of not being able to live in the light when you are dealing with a loss is that's spot on. Judgment. The world. I do wish the world dancer wasn't confined. I have multiple tarots where the world dancer is confined. I think Nicola Ciccoletti, she's also in a snow globe, and I always want her to be free if she is the world. But it's a good image. Okay, and now the minors. We have the cups or the chalices. Ace, that's pretty standard fare, I think. I mean, there's no dove coming out of it, but you've got the hand. The 2. Somewhat standard. The 3. The 4. I like how it's very RWS in a way, but here we get to see the ghost handing the chalice to the dejected person. The 5. We still have the 3 cups knocked over and the 2 cups upright, but now maybe we see what is causing the sorrow. And we see actually in this one the figure of the man here is saying goodbye. He is letting go, accepting his loss. So it's like slightly advanced, I think, from the moment of time captured in the RWS. I love this 6 of Cups because one thing many nostalgia cards don't capture is that nostalgia is often tinged with sorrow. When you think about happy things in the past, they're gone. And this really emphasizes that. Seven, I love this 7. It's interesting that here the fantastical items in the chalices are in the real world, and the person looking at them is the ghost, the unreal item. The 8. Let it go. Shift over a little. The 9. Now this is one that always catches me. I pulled out the RWS 9 Cups. And this is one of the first places where there is serious deviation, I think, from the RWS meaning. But if we go back to the root of the meaning, the idea of simple pleasures, then yes, this is following the Waite's meanings, even if it doesn't follow Pixie's artwork. And here's another favorite card, the Ten of Cups. This, first time I saw it, it made me think of Ingrid Bergman's Ingmar, not Ingrid, Bergman's movie, The Seventh Seal, with the figure of death leading the characters in the Danse Macabre. And they are, that's a happy dance there in this beautiful landscape, lush green landscape. The pages in this always strike me funny. Something about the cloak and the inability to see their faces makes them read older, and they all have this sort of basic look to them, you'll see. There's no fish peeping out of the cup here. I guess a ghost fish would be a little silly, so no ghost fish for us. And the knights tend to be very different. Instead of the knight holding the cup that we're used to, here the cup is in the water. I mean, that makes sense since the knight is no longer physically present. And the knight still seems to be contemplating the cup. And with the queen and the king, you see the cups are substantial, and the king and queen are both ghosts holding their cups. And this is a pattern we'll see again and again. Now to the pentacles. Here's the ace. The two. The Two of Pentacles is always one of my favorite cards. I really do love seeing what people do with them. And so this is one that does not disappoint with the gesture. Funny little satchel there. We have this funny rope, although we don't have the usual lemon scape. The three, we have the teamwork continuing after death. The four, whether you interpret the Four of Pentacles as the miser or the surety of possessions, either way, you can't take it with you. There's your Four Pentacles up there, and our figure is no longer clinging to them. The five, again, ambiguous. I'm trying to get a little more light on these. They're all walking toward the castle there, and there is a light in the castle. Let's see what the guidebook says about that. I can't remember. Pentacles. The soul can exist even if naked and unadorned, but without the material aspects, it can be incomplete. That's not really helpful. The 6, again, very unusual. We have the scales, but they're on the tombstone with our mourner hugging it. And then we have, is that a ghost or a memory behind him? And 7, we have the pinnacles growing on the trees, but the worker, the apprentice who has put in all the work, is not there. The 8, never sure if she's supposed to be finishing, our bride here is supposed to be finishing the carving on the tombstone, or since it's already up, if she's about to chisel it off. It's a good question. Then we have this rather Sam Shepard in his prime looking ghost above her. The 9, again, this is another one where the scene has been transferred to the indoors. But we do have the real birds, very exotic birds, flying around the ghost. On the 10, very ambiguous. We have the couple walking towards what the guidebook says, I think is a wedding chapel. And we have the older generation and the younger generation. Seems like trying to get their attention, but we don't know what the message is. Here we have another rather similar page. Again, another knight. It's suitable, or more suitable for the Knight of Pentacles to be this slower moving, dreamier figure. The Queen transferred indoors, and the pentacle seems to float above her hand. I think the Pentacles is an interesting suit here, given that it's about nature and earthly rewards and whatnot, and we're dealing with entities that are beyond all that. Okay, now into the wands. We have the Ace of Wands. Oh, the 2 and 3 are just spectacular. The 2 really translates the RWS imagery. Look at how beautiful that globe is. And again, either the rising sun or the setting sun outside, given the nature, I always think setting. The 3. Wow, look at that. Another favorite card. Look at him. He does seem to be conjuring it. There's only one staff visible here, and that happens in a lot of these cards if you're hoping to count every single wand or cup or whatnot. Sometimes I think they're missing. The 4, we only have one dancer. Yeah, the 5, now this is one that I look at and I just say, what is going on here? I tend to interpret the 5 of Wands more as the apprentice's play fighting. And so something kind of creepy and all out like this is like, whoa. Not quite how I think of the card, but it's a fabulous picture. Look at the, just look at the details. Look at the hand on that woman. And this is a serious fight here. The 6 kind of has a feel of the 7 for me. I mean, this is victorious, but just in terms of the image itself, it looks a lot more like the RWS 7. Here is the 7, where the battle is much less assured. Let me see in your typical RWS. We have a human or a ghost figure in the 8, but it has very much that sense of movement and flight. Love the birds there and the stream going through. The 9, again, we have the person protecting the castle, and he's a ghost, and this time we don't see the evidence of battle weariness, although being in the afterlife might be enough evidence of that. And with the 10, we again see this as the card of burdens. Again, a very substantial feeling page. The mood of this night is, not rushing off like the RWS. Horse is sitting here eating grass. So there is a sense of the urgency of daily life and these cards being changed. So I guess the unhurried nature of the afterlife. Here's our Queen and King. And finally the swords, our Ace of Swords. Clouds are beautiful there. The 2 of Swords. Not sure, given the splash, if she is falling down into the water or rising out of the water. Her hair's not wet. I mean, she's a ghost. It wouldn't be wet. In fact, if she's a ghost, why is she splashing? But the swords are floating above her hands, and so the message there has changed. The 3, I hope I should tag Giselle on this because we have a 3 of Swords without the pierced heart. And I think that's just a lovely view of heartbreak or sorrow. He is under shelter, and then he's extending the shelter out to her, who he's lost, but he's still protecting her. That's sweet. Pretty straightforward 4 of Swords. The 5, I talked about this at the beginning. We have the defeat, although if they are about to go over the Rainbow Bridge to Asgard, that's a little mitigated. I think we still have the smirk of the winner there. The 6. Here are ferrymen is the ghost. And we see the faces of the woman and child, and there's some sorrow there. Some expectation too. The 7 is interesting. The basic staging is the same as the RWS, but the figure is looking back, I think, and has noticed maybe that this was a bad plan and that they have left behind some swords. The 8, she's not surrounded by swords. She is a bit trapped up there, blindfolded on the rock. And she doesn't appear to be a ghost, but she's got ghostly angel wings. The 9, We have this time the swords and the ghost with the swords tormenting the living woman. And the 10, we have only one sword through our person, and then we have his ghost looking back. And so if you interpret this card as having one meaning of letting go of the bad situation, this is a good interpretation. Another page. The knight here, it's the only one of the knights that is still showing the vigor of the RWS. The galloping horse, the sword raised. And then finally, our queen and king. Very beautiful. She's facing us. Both their swords are pointed down, which is interesting. And that's the deck. I do love this deck. And thank you for visiting. I hope I got more people to appreciate what a lovely, lovely deck this is. Since I do not see many people refer to it or many walkthroughs. So thank you for coming by. This is Kathy at Nothing So Strange. And hope everybody's having a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.